on this computer. Boom, we're on. All right, mate. So we'll start with what has it been like working with me so far?
I've really enjoyed it. Get a good mix of workouts and I think a lot of dietary support. And obviously, as we've gone along the process, we've tailored that depending on the support. I mean, one thing that I've really liked from yourself is the tailored workouts to the facilities I've got.
Right.
So you're not just giving me something that would be naturally good in, say, a pure gym, for example. I've got a home gym and you've written workouts that I can do in there. I think one of the other things that I really enjoy is, and it's probably because you're a new dad yourself, is that you understand, and obviously you've worked in those, elite sporting platforms before, so you're playing at the top level of rugby league, to actually understand, I guess, the work-life and training balance very well. So having that understanding, I guess it's given me that support to I guess, adopt that in my own life too.
Brilliant. So there's kind of like obviously stepping stones, isn't it? So what kind of problems was it we was able to solve together?
Yeah, probably to start with where I first came to is I'd been doing a lot of running and things like that, and I started to have a bit of a problem with my foot. And obviously because of the lockdown, I was finding it really hard to, I guess, first of all, motivate myself, but actually find some structured workouts that I could do without aggravating my foot, but also trying to keep fit, maintain the muscle side of things, and obviously don't try and keep a bit of size. So that's kind of my first protocol of where I came to. But then actually, as we got into things and started to discuss what were my goals and things like that, and obviously largely it was maintaining fitness. Actually we ended up actually starting again in terms of trying to rebuild the shoulder. Obviously I had problems with injuries in that in the past and never really got to a point where it's fully recovered, and actually now I don't really have any problems with it at all, and started to do some more advanced stuff on there. So I guess where it started was I needed some guidance in terms of what workouts to do, and that's just kind of evolved naturally over time, depending on what the goal is at the time. And so at first we started off with rebuilding, but then obviously as we started to move towards pre-season, we shifted that goal. Started getting ready for pre-season, and obviously now we're starting pre-season. It's like, well, what can complement what we're already doing as part of those sessions and what we're given to do in our own time.
Brilliant. So you touched on it a little bit then, but how would you describe what was it like before we started working together?
The big thing is that it's unstructured, and there's probably a lack of focus in the sense that we've been around playing rugby, etc., and training for a long time. I know how to keep fit. However, on a daily basis, shall I go and do a weight session? What should I do? Or should I go for a run? And there was never really, whilst I was doing all of those bits, there was never really an end goal in terms of, well, what am I really trying to achieve? Is it power? Is it strength? Am I just going lifting and going running? And I think that's the biggest thing that obviously working with you is broad. It's actually, well, what is the goal for the next 6 weeks, and how we're going to achieve that? Whereas beforehand, you don't really get that, and that's probably as well because you move from actually being in that environment with the rugby lads and the rugby side of things, where you have that focus on I guess you have a pre-season, then you're playing, and as soon as that goes away, it's like, well, a bit of an endless chicken in a way.
Yep. Yeah, it is. Wait for it to catch up. Yeah.
I think the other side as well is probably. I think the other side to it as well is when I started to work from home. So I usually work in Leeds, and it's a bit of a walk from Warren Park and then wander around the office and things like that. Whereas I started to work from home and I was literally sat at my table. I got up, getting downstairs, had my breakfast, and I'd be literally sat at my desk, and then I'd do a little bit of training. Actually, and I didn't really change my eating habits to adapt to the change in the lifestyle that brought. And I started to put a little bit of weight, and then I'd start to go for longer runs and things like that to accommodate for it. And that's where the foot injury came from, because I was doing too much. And I think actually, again, one of the reasons why I came to as well in that instance, and probably that I was having beforehand was, well, how do you get the balance between your diet and your training so that you're not doing too much on one side, not enough on the other, and vice versa, because you can really strip your diet back, then you're tired for your training.
That constant, constant balancing, isn't it? Yeah.
But again, that's about having those structured goals and tailoring the training, your diet to exactly what you want to achieve, and you can do that on a daily and a weekly basis or on a longer term basis as well.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So with that in mind, then, how have you found the processes and systems in place to help with your nutrition, training, time management, that type of stuff?
So first of all, I mean, in terms of the app itself, it's dead simple to use. Simply, obviously, you go away. We have that discussion at the start of the month, maybe a couple of weeks before, in terms of, well, what are the goals we're looking to achieve in the next stage, which gives you a bit of a platform to start to go away and think about, well, how do we achieve that? So you then come up with the workouts, simply download the app. The workouts are there for you to see. And obviously in there's videos in terms of, well, how do you actually do that exercise? Obviously there's in terms of what reps, the timings in terms of how you actually perform that exercise. But then obviously one thing we've done as well is actually done some form check-ins. So it's all well and good actually going away and doing it on your own. There's the videos, but actually if you're not doing it right, so whilst we're not actually having that face-to-face gym where you stood there watching, actually we had those check-ins and you obviously provided support and guidance. And a good example is on my deadlift that I wasn't pulling my shoulders back enough. There's little bits like that, or on the RDLs, I wasn't going down for far enough to get the stretch in the hamstrings, which, whilst obviously if you'd have been face to face, you'd been able to pick that up, but actually doing that video type call just worked in the same way in terms of you being able to, I guess, challenge and obviously correct what I was doing. So that's probably in terms of the app itself. As I know, there's the videos there, and obviously there's easy ways to obviously add commentary to that in terms of, well, what have you been doing and any questions. And obviously you can, because of the way that works, you can actually write questions up front. So if you've got a session on Friday, I can simply go in and ask a question, say, what does this mean, Adam? Or I might struggle with this. How can we adapt that so I can be a bit more effective with it? And obviously from a dietary perspective, I mean, just because of the way I am, I create my own little system.
Yeah, definitely.
Like a spreadsheet. But obviously you're providing that guidance in terms of, well, what I should be aiming for in terms of the goals from a dietary perspective, but also how I should be managing that. And a good example that I may allude to it later on is, say if I wanted to go for a bear at the weekend, we start at the start of the week and go around for a bear at the weekend. We have that discussion in terms of, well, how can I structure my diet throughout the week so I can just go and enjoy myself?
Yeah, like the flexibility.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the things that I touched upon at the start in terms of that work-life and training balance. By having those discussions, I think that's probably one of the really important things, having those discussions up front. It's having those discussions up front, so just so we know where we all stand and we understand expectations. I think that's why the systems and processes work, whether it be, say, face-to-face or online. You can have that discussion anytime, even if we're training in a gym. Sometimes you might have that discussion just to give you a ring, and that type of relationship doesn't change, regardless of whether it's face-to-face or sat in front of a computer.
It's one of the things I think COVID has probably taught us, isn't it, and working remotely, that it actually works through a laptop.
And that's very interesting, relating that to work. I was speaking to our geophysics officer, and I think beforehand there was probably a belief that you couldn't work remotely. I think that they've learned actually you can effectively run a business. Whilst everyone's at home, obviously there is some of the main infrastructure people that work in the main infrastructure that need to be in office. But the larger part, you can run a business from home and a big organisation too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you can see even big organisations can actually run businesses. So working remotely with a coach and client or person, it obviously works with, like you say, with the processes and systems in there. with all them things, there's a few things I noticed. What do you think is your favourite thing about working with me personally?
So I think there's a couple of things. So I think first of all, it's that open relationship that we have, and where we can have a proper, robust discussion about. And I said I've alluded to a lot of it already. As you said, you picked out a few things. It's having that open relationship, and actually, I think one of the things that is really important is the flexibility you provide. And a good example is pulled my hamstring before Christmas, and within minutes you had updated my workouts so we can still achieve the same goals, but in a different way. And it was rather than running, it was doing boxing, or on the leg side of things. Well, how can we get that single leg strength via different exercises and maybe not putting too much emphasis on the hamstring, so I can do my rehab at the same time. But I think that all starts with having that open relationship that literally I could just come to you and say, look, I'm struggling with this, or I need help with this, and then we could just talk it through and then work our way forward.
Yeah.
But yeah, to be honest, there's a fair few things, and it's that's the starting point to what then follows on from that.
Yeah. So if you was to describe the service to somebody else in a paragraph, how would you describe the service?
No, the quality is to a very high standard. As I say, it's not just in the workouts themselves, but it's actually the support that you provide to enable to reach those goals. And I think again, related to what I previously just pointed out, and it's that starting point that allows all of that to happen. As I say, in terms of the workouts themselves, they're very, very good and focused, tailored to the gym, and the gym that you're actually using, which ultimately just allows you to train effectively to a high standard, using intense workouts.
Brilliant. So, why did you choose me over any other coaches you've spoken with in the past?
Probably a little bit already. But the simple thing is, you're very experienced in this field. Obviously, you've trained and played at that top level, so you know what it takes to work hard and achieve the goals in front of you. And I think also that experience has given you that understanding in terms of, well, how do you balance that? And obviously, as you're a new dad yourself, as I am, you actually understand the stresses and rigors that come with that. So on a day when I'm sort of thinking, I'm not feeling it, you know exactly how it feels, and obviously can provide that support and advice in terms of, well, this is how you get yourself up for it, or take a day off and start again tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely. All right, mate, the last one. So, what would you say to someone who's sitting on the fence now about working with me?
It's pretty simple. Pick up the phone, drop you a message, and have that chat. And I think once you have that chat, you'll really understand, how Adam can help you work towards what you want to, and whether that's just getting moving again, or whether actually he's trying to improve on the training you're already doing. I think that the flexibility you have and the understanding that you have of people's personal circumstances, will really help bring that to life. But yeah, get on the phone, drop Adam a message, and have that initial discussion to see where you want to get to.
Brilliant.